Hi IELTS candidates! In this new video, we are going to deal with the writing task number 2 on the IELTS General Training test. First of all, let's start with the task description. The General Training task number 2 is a discursive essay that requires you to write about contemporary social issues. You have 40 minutes to write at least 250 words. This task is meant to test your ability to respond by giving and justifying an opinion, discussing topics, summarizing details, outlining problems, identifying possible solutions, and supporting ideas. You should understand that this task carries 3/4 of the writing mark. The topics are the same, but questions change from one essay to another. There is a list of common topics that include the following: art, business and money, communication, crime, education, health, language, media, society, sports, technology, tourism, traveling, transport, and work. IELTS usually makes use of similar topics for their essays, but they just change the wording of the essay questions. Task number 2 of the General Training test is almost the same as task number 2 of the academic test. They have the same scoring and they are both written in the same way. The only difference is that the essay questions for the General Training test are easier and simpler than those of the academic test. Also, the General Training essay can be more personal in style than the academic writing essay. That is to say, you should support your point of view with relevant examples from your own knowledge and experience. Generally speaking, the number of paragraphs in task number 2 is between 4 and 5 paragraphs, including, of course, both the introduction and the conclusion. Concerning the marking criteria, the focus is mostly on 4 key elements, which are: task response, which stands for 25% of the mark, means the completion of the given task with the inclusion of all the details specified in the question. Then we have coherence and cohesion, which stands for 25% of the mark. Coherence and cohesion refer to the flow of your essay, the way it is organized, and the logical connection between ideas and paragraphs. Then we have vocabulary. You should demonstrate your ability to use a wide range of appropriate vocabulary items and use them accurately. Finally, we have grammar. You are assessed in your ability to use correct and appropriate grammar, as well as diversifying sentences types, tenses, and structures. Here I have a sample topic for this task. Let's read it together. Some people think that we don't need to teach children to write by hand using a pen because we now have computers. Others think that writing by hand is essential. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. The first thing to do here is to highlight the keywords. I have some people, don't need, teach children, write by hand, computers, others, and essential. After highlighting and rereading the keywords, I understand that the main focus here is on teaching children how to handwrite. It is a controversial topic and a subject of disagreement between two groups of people. The first group thinks that as we now type everything with computers, we don't need to teach children how to write by hands anymore. The second group stands in favor of teaching handwriting to children. At the second step, I need to understand the question in this topic. There are different types of questions for this writing task number 2. The question here is the following: discuss both views and give your own opinion. Unlike other types of questions such as agree, disagree, and advantages and disadvantages, this type of questions requires you to present a thorough discussion in which you present both views. This is exactly what I am going to do in this essay. I am going to do 2 things. First, I am going to discuss both views. The view number 1, which states that we don't need handwriting, and the view number 2, which states that handwriting is necessary. Then I am going to give my own opinion. This will be the main focus of my essay. Now that I have understood what I am going to do, I should now make a plan, which is the third step. Here I have a common plan for this topic. I should start with an introduction. Then in body paragraph number 1, I discuss view number 1. After that, I discuss view number 2 in body paragraph number 2. In body paragraph number 3, I will express my own opinion towards this issue. And finally, I will write a conclusion. Let's start writing this essay, and the first thing to start with is the introduction. Again, I would like to remind you of the structure of the introduction for an IELTS essay. In the introduction of an IELTS essay, we don't need a hook. Instead, we start right away with the background statement. In this part, we rewrite the statement using our own words. We can also use different techniques, especially the paraphrasing technique. Let's focus on this statement and then paraphrase it. Some people think that we don't need to teach children to write by hand using a pen because we now have computers. Others think that writing by hand is essential. I would paraphrase this statement as follows. Many people believe that in modern time of computer typing, teaching school students how to write by hand using pens is a waste of time. Meanwhile, others insist that learning how to handwrite is a must-have skill for any child. As you see here, I have used my own words instead of the words in the statement. I substituted some words in the statement with completely different words. For example, I used the word many instead of some. I also used the word believe instead of think, then school students instead of children, waste of time instead of we don't need, and must have instead of essential, and also insist instead of think. But you should know that it is not only about substituting one word with another one using synonyms. That is not what paraphrasing is. It is about altering sentences, structures and orders and expressing ideas differently. For example, if you notice here, I have used new structures and phrases such as in modern time of computer typing. I have also used the word meanwhile as a cohesive device to connect the two opposing views and to ensure coherence and cohesion between the two sentences. Now that I am done with my background statement, I move to the second part, which is the thesis statement. It is in this part that I am going to briefly and clearly express my own opinion. Here it is. In my opinion, there is always a need to learn how to handwrite. Now let's start writing the first body paragraph in which I will discuss the first view. The first thing to start with here is stating the first view. Then I will give the reason behind this view. It can be 1 or 2 sentences. After that, I should give an example. And finally, I will briefly summarize the idea, emphasize it, and discuss it in this first paragraph. So here is the first view. On the one hand, some people believe that it has nowadays become useless to teach school students how to write by hand using pens. I have just rewritten the first part of the statement using my own words here. I need to give a reason or to explain this. So I would write, this is largely because students today use computers and tablets more than pens and papers. This is a first reason. A second reason. Additionally, students in different schools are being encouraged to use computers and to type their writings. I need to add an example. Here it is. For example, when most schools shifted to online learning due to the pandemic last year, typing was used by most school students for lessons and tests, not handwriting. Finally, I need to summarize this in one sentence. Here it is. Certainly, typing is becoming more and more used by children in most educational institutions. If you have a look here, you can note that I have used some cohesive devices which are, on the one hand, additionally, for example, and certainly. These cohesive devices are very important to tie up the form and the content of the paragraph. Now I move to the second paragraph in which I will discuss the second view. You should know that the second paragraph has the same structure as paragraph number 1. That is to say, it will have a second view, then a reason, an example, and finally a short summary. So here is the second view. On the other hand, some argue that learning how to write by hand using pens is an all-time necessity for children. Again, in this sentence, I have just rewritten the second part of the statement using my own words. After writing the second view, I need to add the reason. Here it is. This is mostly because of the huge benefits that students can get through learning how to handwrite. It is also believed that learning how to handwrite helps students develop other cognitive skills. I need to reinforce this idea by giving examples here. Here it is. For instance, handwriting improves memorizing and associating, forces the brain to actually engage with the information, and improves other skills such as drawing, literacy, and reading skills. Finally, I need to add a short summary. Here it is. Obviously, writing by hand using a pen or a pencil is considerably important. Have a look here at the cohesive devices, especially the first one. On the other hand, this is a continuity for the first one used in the first paragraph. It ensures connections with the preceding paragraph and paves the way for further flow of ideas. I have also used also, for instance, and obviously. Now I start writing body paragraph number 3. In this body paragraph number 3, I am going to give my opinion first, and then I'm going to state the reason behind this opinion. Here is my opinion. Personally, I believe that typing is way too expedient and useful today. However, this doesn't mean that children should give up on learning how to write by hand using pens. As you can see here, I disagree with the statement that children do no longer need to learn how to handwrite. After expressing my opinion, I need to give the reason behind it. Here it is. This is simply because handwriting has larger positive effects on children's cognitive development, perception, and learning outcomes. These two sentences together make up the body paragraph number 3, where I have expressed my opinion and justified the reasons behind it. Now we come to the final part of this essay, which is the conclusion. In this closing part, I am going to summarize the key points discussed in the essay and answer the main question. Here is my conclusion. In a nutshell, writing by hand using a pen and typing by computer are both of great usefulness and utilities for people. Neither of them should be abandoned. Instead, they should both be taught to children. Here are the different parts of my essay put together. I have written 310 words for this essay. I would like to thank you for watching this video. See you again.